Okay, so seems like a never-ending round when it comes to any of this VA stuff, right? And not even just within Hoya, but just in general, honestly. But when it comes down to it, today I want to talk about basically what Keqing's VA had did, I guess like yesterday or maybe like a day ago before that. I don't know. But when it comes down to it, I do want to talk about it because it's an apology, which if you know anything about basically this entire situation, apologies never really turn out well, and this being the first of possibly maybe the only one that does it. Maybe I don't really know, but we'll often see, right? We'll have to see if there's actually going to be more apologies after this. I don't think it will be, because why would they? And it doesn't feel genuine if that's the case, and neither does this damn one. But when it comes down to it, we're gonna see as well, because obviously, just honestly, it's just a bad time being a VA right now, right? It just genuinely is. And not even to mention that ZZZ just released like a few, like 3 other VAs as well, who most likely is for the strike, most likely is sitting out, and most likely got replaced because of that reasoning, right? You got someone like Kaleda, which pains me the most because I'm not gonna lie, Kaleda had like that grit to her, right? And obviously I glazed Kaleda up a few times on this channel, so you already know Kaleda is one of my favorite people. Now she sounds a little bit more higher pitch and not less gritty. Like, you took the grit away from Kaleda and all she is, her being a full-blown tomboy, and now she just is just Tom. and I hate it, you know. Not even that. She sounds like some character named Susie. That's really what it sounds like. Susie with 2 hammers. That's just what you get now, and it just. I'm mad about this. I hate the strike. It's not even a strike. I just hate the fact that people just don't want to work because of bullshit reasoning. I hate it so much, really. I genuinely do, right? Then you get Rena's VA getting changed up, which I gotta listen to her voice more to see if there's a difference or not. I haven't felt any difference when I heard it just briefly last night. And then Grace's VA got changed, and I don't even know what she sounds like. So when it comes down to it, yeah, pretty bad time. Pretty damn bad time. But once again, it kind of just shows you, again, full freaking circle, that this whole VA sitting out, refusal to work nonsense, whatever the hell you want to call it, is basically cooking these people alive, right? And to keep it very much a stack, they really got no one to blame in this situation but themselves. Because this isn't even about AI anymore. This is just about whatever the hell point they're trying to get across by trying to get this game to be union, or trying to get any of Hoyo's projects to be, you know, unionized and all that sort of stuff for whatever weird ass reason. Why does it matter if it's union so damn hard? I get it, there could be benefits and stuff like that, but at the very same time, in fact, I don't even think that matters, because if Hoyo really wanted to, they would have already replaced Kaleda's and everybody else's VA just this patch with AI, but they didn't. And then at the same time, if they really, you know, were a scumbag ass company, they would have did this replacement stuff already because of the refusal to work. They gave you the grace period, which honestly they did not have to do, but they did it anyway. And they gave you the grace period, and still shit hasn't gotten solved. And so now it's just like, okay, now we're just gonna have to cook all of you, because literally, unless you decide to come back and you get in touch that you want to come back and you want to voice these damn lines, we're cooking you, and you're getting rid of just out the wazoo, and you can go do something else. Literally, that's how it is, right? And it's crazy that a lot of these VAs want to sit here and double down on, no, we're on the right side of things. This is the best place to be. SAG is the ultimate of ultimates, and it's really not. It's really not. And even certain people have called that out already. That is in your space as well. So it's really not. All I can really say when it comes to this whole thing is just that, just like Sonic said from the Discord channel, it sounds like y'all just need some good shit and some good luck right now, because that's literally all they're gonna need, and they're not getting either of these things. But just to kind of briefly touch upon this other thing too, because yeah, the whole VA situations of what happening in Hoyo is pretty bad, I kind of gotta mention Kingdom Hearts, because of what Sora's VA was on recently, right? Now granted, with his situation, it's a bit different, mainly because, well, he kind of lost his whole house in the whole ass Los Angeles fire or whatever, and then essentially has not been in a good headspace, obviously, and when it comes down to it, made a lot of crazy comments while he was like really under the influence at a ski resort and getting arrested and stuff like that. And you know, people took notice of that too. So again, once again, it's not a fun time being a VA right now. Like it really just goes to show you how little shit VA gets when it comes down to actually getting like rewards and, you know, the pay and stuff like that. Unless you maybe like a well-known, really good, decent person, then you might get paper. But as a regular VA, it just shows you're not really getting much. And I think with that situation, it's a good segue to kind of bring up that, yes, I understand there's a lot of people that like these original voice actors and like that how they sound in the game and the characters and such like that. And I absolutely get it. There's some VAs I just wouldn't want to see get swapped out, or I can't listen to in any other language without that certain person, whether they are good or whether they are bad. And when it comes down to it, that's just ultimately how it is for certain people, and for me and pretty much everybody. We have our own very much specific taste, right? I wouldn't want to listen to Konako's voice if Jade Saxon's not doing the dang voice. Granted, she hasn't been in any trouble, thank goodness. So when it comes down to it, I just want to listen to her in English. That's just how it is. The same way for Sora. I want to see, you know, Haley do more Sora voices and stuff like that in the future. I would like to hope that the opportunity isn't completely gone, but at the very same time also realize it is a business at the end of the day. Disney and Square, they have to run that shit. And at the end of the day, if they think the words of what he was saying, much less the things that was happening at the time, if that's gonna affect Kingdom Hearts getting paid in any way and making dividends and making the, you know, the money work for it and all that sort of stuff, it just makes people not want to buy the game because of stuff he said, and they have to switch the voice. It's business. They have to do what they gotta do. And that's unfortunate because, again, really like Sora, really like the voice, and that's kind of what we've been hearing for the last 20 years. But at the very same time, if that's gonna be the case, it has to be the case. It just is what it is, right? So again, even if you like a certain character, even if they've been doing this for so many years, if they, you know, get ultimately changed out and whatever, it is what it is. You kind of just gotta accept it. And especially with a case like Genshin, where literally they could come to work, they just choose not to. Yeah, you're gonna have to replace a lot of people. Like, I don't want to see Ether and Lemming's VA getting swapped around and getting changed at all. I don't want to see that whatsoever. But unfortunately, if they don't go to work, and they literally could, and they keep listening to their bum-ass agents that probably don't tell them anything that needs to be really told, then yeah, they're probably going to get folded in the worst possible way, and I would hate that. So when it comes down to it, we don't have really much of a choice into this, outside the fact that, well, do they work or do they not? And that's essentially how it is. Which brings us back to Kaylee Mills and her week behind apology, if I'm being honest, where a lot of stuff, if I'm going to be real, shouldn't have been said if you want people to get on your side. Like, for example, oh, I was being frustrated by the situation or whatever. Like, yeah, I don't think that's something people would want to, you know, care about, much less would agree with your take, because, oh, she was emotional. We get it, right? The difference, and someone will like, well, how is this different between Sora's VA and Keqing's VA? Well, the difference is Sora's VA lost a house to a fire, and plenty of other stuff probably has gone not in the greatest ways. That's understandable, being in the mindset that he was at the time. And then he immediately apologized right after, didn't double down and nothing like that, and all that sort of stuff. So there could be a chance, right? There could be a chance and that he could be, you know, forgiven and stuff like that. Where Keqing's VA has doubled down repeatedly, talked mad shit, just been on all types of timing, and really, and because I watched Hero Hayes' video, when it came down to like Nikkei having their anniversary or whatever, where they, you know, popped her up as like one of the characters to, you know, I guess voicing our character or whatever, the chat literally was like, oh hell no, recast this bitch immediately, we ain't got time for this. And that's just essentially how it is. So at the end of the day, you know, it was just kind of crazy. The fact that the whole chat was basically saying, yo, recast this woman immediately is crazy. Because that just shows you, this ain't just a Hoyoverse problem, this is a you problem at this point. Because literally anywhere she goes at this point now, it's going to be hectic for them. Literally. Unless they get some crazy ass lucky break, which I highly doubt. But if they get that, that's the only way, right? The same thing we can say about Paimon's VA. If Paimon's VA work on anything else at this point, if she gets released from Genshin right now, she's going to have a hard time getting in, because everybody's going to be like, hold up. weren't your ass on some other wildness shit when it came down to, like, you know, some Genshin or whatever? Yeah, we need to get your ass up out of here. Like, immediately, you just tarnish everything because you kept doubling down, going in the way you have been going, and then just being absolutely weird about the whole damn thing. Because you gotta think about it like this. If you're in a position where you have a lot more authority and a lot more things in a certain area of some other thing or whatever, you gotta realize there's tons of people that's watching you, listening to you, and basically focusing their time and effort to you, right? And if you say something out of line or really weird, guess what? They're gonna pick up on that immediately, and then they're gonna be like, hey yo, what the hell was this, right? You know, so I'm not saying people are gonna be perfect, and you shouldn't expect people to be perfect, because yeah, they're gonna make a mistake or two, and yeah, they might say something that is maybe out of line that moment, and they just like, oh, hold up, maybe I stepped too far, maybe that's my bad, right? And that's perfectly fine. But when you double down and you go in, here's the thing about her situation. She didn't double down, she quadrupled down. That's the problem with the whole rants and everything, right? It's just like, you gotta realize people are gonna see that shit, be like, oh, we don't need you here because this is the type of energy you have, right? We don't need drama, we just want answers. Like that's just ultimately how it goes, you know? So when you see situations like this, where you get someone that doubles down hard as hell, it's hard for people to want to defend you, mainly because, well, the situation wasn't, you know, called for that. And to add insult to injury in that apology, quote unquote, literally the other part about it that sucks, or at least that is really difficult for anybody to defend you on, is the fact that you was basically kind of saying, yo, I should not have done this publicly. So what that implies? What does that imply? That you was gonna attack him privately or something like that? Send him a nasty message in private or whatever? Because considering how many different people came out to assault, you know, Jacob Takanashi when it came down to, you know, the whole situation of everything, when it come down to it, like, is that what we doing? Is that what you was gonna plan to do? Did you want to put hot sauce in their car? It did drop it off and let them leave like that? Like, was that what you gonna do? Because that's what it feels like, right? That's what it feels like. And it's also funny how this apology happens now, where literally you could have done this any other time. You could have done this like the time you put it down. You could have done this a day after or whatever. This has been going on for some time, and then now all of a sudden an apology has to come through. And it's not really an apology for real, because it doesn't apologize for the stuff that she has said to the man and all that stuff. It's just more like a self-apology just because. That's what this comes off, really what comes off as. And then another aspect too that I don't think anybody has called out, at least on video, is that when it comes down to this apology too, she kind of also kind of like, you know, kind of just like, you know, I wasn't the only one that was on bullshit, you know, I wasn't the only one on demon timing, you know, like she wants her other fellow VAs to come through and also join in on a joint apology, where I don't think they're gonna do that. Like, I think you're just kind of cooked by yourself, honestly, which would show the true colors of those VAs for you. And at the very same time, you know, I also feel like when it comes down to that, yeah, I'm pretty certain you should know that this SAG after click unit thing isn't as clicky and as unit E when it comes down to, you know, trying to get it over and stuff like that. Plus, I think it's very clear at this point in time to kind of see, a lot of VAs, when it comes to just Genshin as a whole, they don't like each other. Or at least, they don't really care for each other on that sort of level, right? They just do the job and kind of just, you know, enjoy what it is and then kind of dip off of that. And even, maybe barely even that, right? Some VAs probably do enjoy what they're doing, but there is others that just out here, again, like I said before, for a check. And that's essentially all it is. Where again, something in the East, you have people take this with an insane amount of honor, and very rarely would you hear in the VA just, you know, getting shit on or doing something crazy and stuff like that, right? But in the West, this is just a common thing, right? It's like they treat it like a job, like any other job, where they realize, you know, it's just a thing they can get a check from. But you also have to realize, again, that VA work could also change a culture of people. It could also carry a culture of people too, right? I'd argue genuinely that someone like Sora's VA could deadass, or has deadass really, helped shape a lot of people because of how Sora is and stuff like that, and how the voice work kind of was, right? Sure, again, Sora is Sora, and he's the character, and the character makes the character, but also, I wouldn't say that the voice doesn't add bonus points to it, because it does. So when it comes down to it, you know, you could definitely say that, right? But again, at the same time, business is business. If things don't work out anymore, then you gotta go, and that's just ultimately how it is. You just, as a voice actor, you just can't do all this stuff and think, oh, this is perfectly fine and no one's really gonna care. Because once you put it out in the open, especially on the internet, it's GG's. It's literally over, right? And then have the nerve to use Keqing as the, you know, an example to be like, oh, be a good Samaritan, be on the right side of history and all that type of stuff. Crazy work. Crazy work. This is like if Keqing worked for a corrupted version of the Liyue Qixing, and Ningguang is like, everybody will pay me Mora to live here, and you will also suck on my toes because you're gonna like it, or you can get the hell out of Liyue Harbor, which not everybody's gonna be down for that. Some freaky ass people will be. I'm not one of them. But when it comes down to it, though, not everybody's gonna be down for that. Why the hell do I gotta suck on your dusty ass toes, Ningguang? You're not even in the top third of my favorite people. So when it comes down to it, though, again, it just is it's just shitty. It just comes off as shitty, as also entitlement, I'd argue. And at the really end of the line, it's just not a good look. So ultimately, when it comes down to this whole situation, it just makes me wonder if, you know, ZZZ goes through these changes with swapping out characters and such like that. It does make me wonder, okay, so who else is getting swapped out? Because obviously Genshin is going to have more people getting swapped out. It's just going to come down to a matter of who the hell is getting swapped out, right? And we really won't know until the patch drops, because that's just ultimately how it is. So when 5.6 come out next month, we'll know. But ultimately, we just going to have to wait and see, because there's not really much that we can do right now. And you gotta think about it like this too. There's a lot of people, especially in Genshin's case, that wants to get, you know, just straight up taken out. And people want to see them getting removed and replaced and all that stuff. Paimon's VA, Sucrose VA, Candace's, you know, people like Keqing and Hu Tao's. You know, there's a lot of people. There is genuinely a lot of freaking people that work on that project, but also people that hasn't done anything and hasn't, you know, been a part of that very same drama. Hoyo has to look at them too, and they also have to realize, well, they haven't come back to voice stuff, so they got to get replaced, you know. And it could be like way more people down the line as well, and they have to, you know, replace who they think is just the person really that's the most replaceable right now, right? Which really often suck. And the reason why I say that is because, well, you gotta realize that patches of Genshin is gonna keep coming out at a regular pace, and they're not gonna get halted. So does this mean in 5.6, with the patch seeming like we're going back to Mondstadt, is that meaning that we're not gonna get, you know, the characters to come back in that one? You know, because that will be pretty shit as well. Because I think Vinci's VA is gonna be fine to come back. I think so. I think they came back with the whole music integration, the music game. I think, if I remember correctly. So I think Vinci's VA will be perfectly fine to come back. But then what about somebody like Albedo's VA that's seemingly gonna be really important? And we know Albedo's VA done some shit too. So it's like, or at least was a part of this drama too. So it's like, do we, you know, talk about him coming back? Or does he get to have a voice and all that stuff? So again, it's a lot to just straight up consider, right? And I'm hoping that they'll just go ahead and just focus hard on who needs to be replaced in like the upcoming patch, instead of just replacing all around the board. Because if they don't come back, they just don't come back. If they do come back, then they'll try to come back, and that'll be great. But we'll have to just essentially see, because if nothing really works out, it's not going to be a good time. Honestly, even with someone like, you know, Paimon's VA, I don't really see them getting replaced this patch. I don't. I can see them maybe getting replaced next patch, but I don't see it this patch. So if that ends up happening, well, no. But again, there's just a lot that Hoyo has to consider when it comes down to it, because we just don't know how this is all going to work out, and, you know, who's going to be able to come back and who's going to finally break and come back and all that sort of stuff. We just don't know. And ultimately, it's just going to come down to a guessing game as to when and how this thing is really going to work and what decision Hoyoverse really just jumps to. But yeah, I guess that's really all I got to say for this one. Really just wanted to focus on the whole Kayla Mills thing and the apology. And at the very same time, also kind of just focus on just the VA stuff in general, because obviously DCZ is pretty important. And, you know, can't really just not bring that up, because that's a fair amount of characters that's been changed up over the course of some short amount of time. And Kaleda just being changed hurts the soul at the same time. Does it surprise me? No, not really. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, I think the VA is kind of an activist, if I looked at their Twitter correctly, so maybe that's for the best. I don't know. But, you know, only time will tell. I just hope the new VA can kind of just be a little bit more grittier. That's the only thing I ask. Be a little bit more grittier. So, that's just me, though. But when it comes down to it, though, yeah. And then obviously Sora's VA, because that's been a thing. Just, it is what it is when it comes down to that. Who knows? But yeah, mainly I just want to talk about this because there's just a lot that's going on. But that's really all I got to say for this one. I might come back with another video talking about 2XKO, because I need to go ahead and get that out of the way and just talk about my initial thoughts about the game and stuff like that. So maybe expect another, another upload, double upload. So just be on the horizon for that, and subscribe if you want to see me talk about, League of Legends and how I got my ass beat a lot. So if that interests you, please do hit the subscribe button. Go ahead, hit the like button. Also, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also, follow me on Twitter and all the other social medias. And if you do like to, support the channel, please do hit that whole Cash App and Kofi in the description so you can help me out. And until then, it's me, boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.